For it. Just sink it.
Oh! No! No! What's going on, guys? It's Aston with Health and Swellness, and you all see from the title of the video, this is going to be a little experiment on what the effects are of taking an ice bath every day for a week. I'm sure as soon as I get in here, I'm going to instantly regret committing to an entire week of taking an ice bath, but we'll go ahead and jump into it. I'm going to talk about why I'm doing this, what the purported benefits are, what the science says after I'm in the tub. It's going to make it a little bit difficult. Hopefully I'm still able to articulate properly and kind of explain what's going on. But you know what, like, the nerves are already kind of building up. Let's just go ahead, jump into it. This is going to be miserable. So I should mention, I'm normally not good at handling cold stuff. I'm handling it. I can't even speak. Oh man. Oh, way worse than I expected. I thought it was gonna be just slightly uncomfortable. Oh man. This is like literally the worst thing imaginable. Oh. Okay, so this is gonna be a process. I'm gonna try to get a little bit better every day. See if we can go 10 seconds. Okay, so this was like entirely way worse than I expected. I think we got in there like 20 seconds for one full go. Honestly, a lot of the studies are done in 20-second spurts as far as cold shock therapy and whatnot. So for today, 20 seconds is kind of a win. Honestly, how bad that felt. Way worse than I expected. I've been in cold water before. Taking an ice bath a long time ago, but it was just like in the legs. Getting all the way under is absolutely terrible. So we'll go ahead and talk about the principles behind this. I'm doing it. All right, so as I was editing, noticed information was a little wonky. I wasn't explaining it as effectively and efficiently as I could. So I'm gonna kind of sit down now and we're gonna talk about it. All right, hopefully I can articulate a little bit better now that I'm not in the shock mode from getting out of the ice bath. But the first major one that everybody knows about is gonna be how cold therapy reduces inflammation. This is why you get an injury, you instantly put ice on it, because the idea behind this is when you get hurt, it creates a big inflammatory response, that's swelling. You wanna reduce this in order to hopefully let it heal faster. Now, I'm not gonna say whether or not I kind of agree with that protocol 100% of the time, but that's the idea. Cold therapy reduces inflammation. Science is there, it's been there for a while. It's just how we wanna go about doing this. So in certain scenarios, like lifting weights, you go to the gym, you lift weights, you cause inflammation, and that's what's actually triggering your muscles to grow and respond. So for instance, doing cold therapy directly after a workout, you're actually gonna be blunting that growth, that adaptation response. So that's gonna be a no-go. You're gonna be kind of throwing a lot of your work away. Now, logically, this makes sense, but there also is science studies to back this claim up, where different groups took ice baths right after their training or later in the day, and the group that took them right after, ended up not getting as good of long-term results as the other groups because it stopped this response. However, too much inflammation is a bad thing. Pretty much inflammation is the response from the immune system. So if you're constantly triggering this inflammation response, you're gonna feel like garbage. So, adding in cold therapy can help reduce this overall inflammatory response. Now, there is local inflammation, you get hurt, local inflammation, or systemic all over inflammation, which can be caused by a variety of different things, disease in particular. So sometimes our immune system can get out of control. It's good to go ahead and try to bring that down sometimes, so that maybe we can feel a little bit better. So for me, at the beginning of this week, I was very inflamed. I'm in a tough part of my training, kind of in an overreaching phase. So everything is super inflamed, super sore, hurting like crazy. All the joints are aching. So for me, it's going to be beneficial to lower this inflammation, to finish my training cycle, and then I can deload, rest, and recover fully. Another thing that you get from cold therapy is going to be a huge spike in norepinephrine. This is going to be mediated by the sympathetic nervous system, so that fight or flight response. Obviously, this one's pretty obvious. You get in that cold water, your body's freaking out, you trigger that response. Norepinephrine, though, is a hormone and a neurotransmitter, and it's going to be excellent for focus, memory, attention, and mood. So norepinephrine has been used to treat depression, for instance, in the form of medication, but also cold therapy in general has been used to treat depression by raising norepinephrine in the brain, improving people's mood. Also been shown to improve memory, focus, attention as well. So definitely some beneficial stuff. Now, on the hormone side of things, it does help free up fatty acids. It has a role in metabolism. So increasing norepinephrine levels could actually help you increase your metabolism and burn more fat. So another big kind of obvious thing is when you get in the cold water, your body wants to heat itself up. So one of the ways your body produces thermogenesis is by activating what's called brown fat. You have different types of fat tissues, white, brown, and there's some other ones, but those are kind of the two main ones. Brown fat, though, is very metabolically demanding. It's very good for your metabolism. It requires a lot of energy to use. This is good. This is good for us. We want to have a higher metabolism so that we can burn fat more effectively. So brown fat actually burns regular white fat for heat. So this brown fat activation with cold exposure is actually going to increase the number of mitochondria our cells have. This is what is responsible for basically creating energy. So you're going to be able to produce energy more effectively, which is going to make your metabolism better, going to make you feel better, have more energy throughout the day, but also burn fat more effectively because you're able to convert what you're eating into energy, basically. So last but not least, there's also something called cold shock proteins that are released when your body is exposed to this extreme level of temperature, like when your core body temperature is actually lowered. The one specifically that's been studied is RMB3, and this has been shown to rebuild neural synapses. So the synapses between neural tissues, slowly degenerate over time, something that naturally happens due to, different kinds of stress, just normal oxidative stress from living, stress from environment, and, emotional stress. All this can deteriorate these synapses. However, the activation of this cold shock protein can help rebuild those synapses. So that's definitely a very interesting aspect as far as improving cognitive functioning and longevity overall. Would be very curious to see how this affects Alzheimer's patients. I'm actually going to look and see if there are any studies. If there are, link them down below as always. All right, day 2. Had to recruit some help because this is miserable. Wanted to make it a little bit more fun. So we got my boys here in the back. We got Chris and Zach, and they're going to join me today. We're going to get their reactions and see what they think of it. Zach has a YouTube channel, Zach Sinizich. What we're going to do on his is we're going to do a competition who can stay in the longest. So if you want to see that full video and the results, there'll be a link in the description. Click on that, but you'll still get the reactions and everything here. So let's get into it. Oh my god, that's so bad.
No, I'm wasting time. Just sink it. Just sink. I don't want to.
He's actually handling it really well.
It takes your breath away.
I'm actually impressed.
Yeah, me too. It's my feet that are words.
How you feeling there?
Awful.
You're doing well.
Oh my god. Yeah, it takes your breath away. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm about to get out of this thing.
Time to beat is 1:03. He set the bar way too high. They're handling it a lot better than I did yesterday, to be honest. Oh. Oh. A minute and 3 seconds. What the heck? Oh. Man, I honestly don't see how you did it, dude. This is like, I hate this so much. I hate it so much. Ah!
Come on.
Okay, I got 20 seconds yesterday. Okay, I gotta step out for a second. I've been in too long.
Oh man. Just sink it.
Oh, God. Why is this so hard?
Just go for it. Just sink it.
Oh. Oh. No. I hate this so much.
Oh man, that was great.
And I promise I'm not even trying to ham it up. Like, this is...
Are you going for it again?
Oh, bad decision. Oh, no.
Just go. Sink.
Okay, I'm done.
What?
Not today, folks. Not today.
Some things you just got to do for your country.
Love it.
As my friend Matthew McConaughey would say, this, kids, keeps you warm on the inside. Just a little snort, as Grandpa would say.
Woo! See, that's the technique is, oh, he just goes for it. He doesn't care.
Two things keep you young in life. Ice baths and the woman you wake up next to. In. It'll go away in a second.
She's powering through though. Better than me. This is terrible. It's just a coping mechanism. This is the longest. I'm so proud of myself.
Trying to outdo Ray, is that what your plan was?
I can't outdo Ray because Ray just got out of boredom. Like, he was like, I'm taking long enough.
He sang Twinkle Twinkle Little Star in his head.
Very cold. My legs are immediately numb.
Your speaking is very calm.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. It's nothing.
I know, like
Jeez.
a champ. Oh man,
How's it feel?
it's going cold.
Feels heavy on my chest today.
You got it. Let the
You're
weekend
giving yourself like severe anxiety around this.
let the weekend give you take you away.
Oh, it's raining. Better or worse today?
Worse. So much worse.
Beforehand.
Okay, laughing was a bad choice in here.
Yeah, it doesn't feel good.
My abs are cramping. I just gotta get to where Chance kicks in and I'll be good. Cause he'll distract me enough.
Because his voice is something
No.
No, it's
Okay, day number 6. I'm gonna be honest, I can't tell you all like how much I do not feel like doing this today. This is the latest I've waited. It's like almost noon. Just been kind of putting it off, procrastinating. Nobody is joining me today, all on my own, so it takes a little bit more discipline, but that's part of the reason for these like little experiments I do. It's kind of an exercise in self-discipline, but we did 5 minutes yesterday. Honestly, like the feeling between 3 and 5 minutes is not anything different. In fact, I think 5 minutes was just like a little too stressful on the body. I just felt like drained and exhausted the rest of the day. So we're gonna go for like 3 minutes. That's a pretty good time frame. Your body temperature is drastically lower and you're getting all the different effects and you feel decent the rest of the day. You don't feel like absolute garbage, so let's get in there. You definitely get better at handling it. I'm not gonna say it gets easier because I still get very anxious right as I'm about to get in. It still hurts, but your body, like it knows it's not gonna die after doing it 6 days in a row. You know you're gonna make it through. When the first couple of times, like it's something new you haven't experienced, so you freak out and your body freaks out with this like intense alarm reaction. But now, like it's terrible. But as you can tell, like my breathing is under control. I'm able to talk, I'm able to function. That's that adaptation. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to adapt our body to be able to handle this stress. The shiver reaction is like greatly reduced. Like yesterday I was like shaking uncontrollably. For whatever reason today is like not bad at all, and same amount of ice in the bag, same everything, like nothing's changed except I'm guessing my ability to handle it, so.
You are kidding. This is really cold.
Yeah.
Oh, you feel your hardness.
Everybody else though handles it way better than I did on my first go.
Really?
Yeah.
It's just like hard to breathe.
No, no,
Go,
no,
go,
no,
go, go. All right, go. All right, now breathe. Breathe, keep breathing.
Listen to the song. Listen to the song.
You're gonna beat me. You're gonna beat me, keep going.
What am I at?
You're at 49 on the recording.
Keep going.
That's how you sing along to dubstep.
Oh, my body hurts. It's starting to hurt now.
No, okay.
I definitely have gotten like more adapted to it.
Yeah.
Like it still hurts really badly. I don't think that ever goes away.
Do you feel your heart right about like now?
Alright guys, it is day number 9, so 2 days post-experiment, and I figured I'd kind of share my experiences with doing the ice bath every single day, what I feel I got out of it, and just how it went overall. So as y'all noticed, the first 2 days, I could not handle it whatsoever. Like it was so painful, way worse than I expected, but by the end of the week, I was doing 5 minutes, no problem. And I'm not entirely sure if these adaptations were physiological or mainly just mental, like I was just getting better at handling it. A couple things that I did find interesting is how cold the water felt to me, and like an actual pain response was greatly reduced at the end. Like at the very beginning of the experiment, even when I went all the way under, like that cold was such a shock to my system, and it was like very painful, like an actual pain response instead of just a cold response. However, when I was getting in there towards the end, I could definitely tell it was cold, like that cold response was there, but there was no like pain response. And I'm wondering if that was physiological, something, you know, as far as these cold shock proteins being released. Also, day 6 and 7, the last 2 days, when I got out, there was little to no shiver response. Day number 6, 0 shiver response when I got out. Day number 7, slight shiver response, but nowhere near like if you look at like day 4 and 5, when I got out of the tub, I was like uncontrollably like shaking and shivering. Now this is one thing I did read, that the more you do it, the less the shiver response will be. I think it's just your body knowing that it'll heat up. This could also be due to the activation of brown fat, like we talked about earlier. My body is getting better switching that on and regulating my body temperature. At first, I didn't know how to do that. My body on a cellular level didn't know how to do that. But after repeated exposure, it said, okay, we have to figure this out. Let's adapt and let's get better at thermogenesis, at creating heat. So that's one thing that was definitely there, is I really increased my ability to get warm after. First couple times I was cold for hours afterwards, but on the last couple days, like it lasted for half an hour, and then I was back to normal, like didn't feel any adverse effects. So one thing that we also talked about is the norepinephrine spike and its role in mood, in cognition, and attention, all that stuff. The first 2 days I felt a huge difference in my cognitive ability. My mood was great all day long. I felt sharp, I felt focused. However, the rest of the days, that didn't happen. And so if you look, the first 2 days are the days where I barely stayed in at all. I got in 20 seconds first day, couldn't even get all the way under for more than 3 seconds on the second day. And so I think this is enough to spike norepinephrine, because I triggered that alarm reaction, I triggered that fight or flight mode. So I still got the huge spike in norepinephrine, but I didn't stay in long enough to actually stress my body and cause the other adaptations that occur. And so what I'm wondering, and I would like to look into this more and see if there's a study. If not, I would be very interested in conducting one on my own, is maybe there is a point where, for instance, norepinephrine is spiked instantly through the alarm reaction, but then you stay in too long and cortisol, the stress hormone, raises, and then it almost counteracts the cognitive benefits. I'd be very curious in knowing the answer to that. That's kind of a theory at this point, is I got extreme cognitive benefits from short exposure, but the long-term exposure ended up making me feel more drained and more exhausted later in the day. A lot of times my energy was pretty normal up until like 6 or 7 o'clock, and then I was just super taxed, super drained. And I think this is due to just a huge raise in cortisol, the stress hormone, that would accompany a big stressor like, cooling down your body to this degree. Now, as far as the way my body feels after this week, I will say I'm feeling a lot better, especially in my joints. So my elbow tendonitis hasn't completely gone away, but that's greatly reduced. The pain in my knees, hips, and shoulders greatly reduced as well. So it's very obvious that this is going to be a great tool for reducing a lot of this local inflammation. It's just whether or not it's doing the whole systemic inflammation or not. I will probably need more treatments for the elbow. So overall, I had a great time doing this experiment. Well, I say great time, but it was a little painful while I was doing it. But part of the reason I like to do these is it is an exercise in self-discipline. Luckily, I had crazy enough friends and people that wanted to join me that it made it a lot easier, a lot more enjoyable. I would say if you are going to try this, invite some friends over. It makes for an awesome, fun time. Like every Sunday, we're going to start doing ice baths and brunch just as an event because it's fun. You feel good after. Everybody's kind of, misery loves company. You're suffering together. You're bonding, and it's a good time. I enjoy doing these experiments though, so hopefully you all will see more videos from me doing experiments like this. If you have any ideas of what you'd be curious about, something along these lines maybe, leave it in the comments down below. I'm always open to what you all have to say. Hopefully you all found this either educational, entertaining, or informative, anything like that. If you did, give it a thumbs up. Also, share this video. Like, this was a pretty expensive experiment to do, getting 10 bags of ice every day in this whole tub. If you enjoyed it, share it with your friends. Hopefully they'll enjoy it too. But until next time, see y'all later.